Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today, well, we're looking at something that's now quite old, is very collectible indeed, and is becoming more and more difficult to find, especially in this fantastic condition. We are looking at the 1969 release by World Distributors from their Man from Uncle series of annuals. And this particular one we're looking at today is the 1970 annual, which was released at the end of 1969 for the upcoming 1970 year. And it is all based on the extremely popular television program, The Man from Uncle. Now, as we know, The Man from Uncle was an American spy fiction television series. It was produced by MGM Television, and it was broadcast on the NBC network originally. And the series follows Uncle agents, or secret agents, whatever you like to call them, Napoleon Solo, who was played by the late, great Robert Vaughn, and Illya Kuryakin, who was played by the late, great David McCallum. And they work for a secret international counter-espionage and law enforcement agency, which is called Uncle, obviously. And that stands for United Network Command for Law Enforcement. The series first aired, or premiered, if you like, on September 22nd, 1964, and completed its run on the 5th of January, 1968. There was a return to The Man from Uncle, which aired 15 years later, and it was a movie, and it was called The Man from Uncle, The 15-Year Affair, and that was in 1983, I think that movie came out. And we saw Robert Vaughn and David McCallum reprise their roles as Kuryakin and Solo. Leo Carroll, who played Alexander Waverly, sadly passed away in between the time from the TV series and when the movie was made. So consequently, he couldn't appear, obviously couldn't appear in the film. So his role was given to Patrick Macnee, who's otherwise known for John Steed in the TV Avengers. It wasn't the same role. It was an alternative to the Alexander Waverly role. And incidentally, on his desk, there was a photograph of Leo Carroll as Waverly. There was a few cameos in that film movie as well. There was a tribute to Ian Fleming, and so there was a cameo appearance by an unidentified secret agent who had the initials JB. I wonder what that stands for. And the part was played by none other than George Lazenby, who was obviously James Bond. And he was driving the Bond's trademark vehicle, the Aston Martin DB5. And one of the characters in the TV series identified him by saying that it's just like on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which obviously was the only Bond film that Lazenby appeared in. Okay, now this is the annual for 1970, which was released in late 1969 for the upcoming 1970 years, we said. Now, you can see at the top there, you've got an image of Napoleon Solo and Illya Kuryakin with Alexander Waverly at his desk in Uncle headquarters. And at the bottom, you've got Robert Vaughn as Napoleon Solo just getting out of a helicopter, and David McCallum as Illya Kuryakin with a parachute on his back. At the bottom, it says authorised edition, starring Robert Vaughn as Napoleon Solo and David McCallum as Illya Kuryakin, and Leo G. Carroll plays Alexandra Waverly. Okay, that's the front of the annual. Let's just spin it round to the side, or to the back, I should say. And there we have, and again, another photograph of David McCallum and Robert Vaughn as Kuryakin and Solo. Again, it's another photograph taken from the TV series. Just a very quick look at the spline, and it says The Man from Uncle Annual, and you've got the World Distributors printed at the bottom. Okay, that's the outside. Let's now have a look at the inside. Okay, so I have opened the annual, and this is what we got on the inside. Now, before we start, I've noticed there's a name right at the top of this book. It says Andrew, but there we are. I think that's the only writing in this book. Other than that, it's in very, very, very good condition. Okay, so you've got Illya Kuryakin over here. You've got Napoleon solo here. You've got Alexandra Waverly there. And then you've got some artwork with Napoleon solo on a helicopter. You've got the Man from U.N.C.L.E. logo. And there's some comic strip drawings there of Kuryakin and Solo in action. Contents, stories, The Bad Joke Affair, The Big Bang in the Bottle Affair, The Clock Face Affair, The Who Flies Where for What Affair, The Operation Waverly Affair, The Amusement Pier Affair, The Cut and Run Affair, Sandstorm for Illya, Nap Hand for Napoleon Affair, The Highway to the Sun Affair. Okay, you've got strip stories, which is The Animal Agents Affair, Act 1, The Setup Sultan, and The Animal Agents Affair, Act 2. Features include The Spy Catcher, A City on Springs, Policeman All, Did You Know, Situation Vacant, Intelligence Agent, Strange Rendezvous, They Got Away, Odd Facts, The Selector Affair, and Mission Accomplished. Okay, and in the bottom right-hand corner, you've got the copyright, which is 1969 by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Limited, all rights reserved throughout the world. Published in Great Britain by World Distributors, Manchester Limited, by arrangements with Westers Publishing Company, Inc. in the USA, and printed and bound in England. And you've got the 12 and 6 original cover price on the bottom of that first page. Okay, let's turn the page over and let's get cracking into the annual. Okay, so the very first story we've got is The Bad Joke Affair, and it is a full story with colour illustrations, and that runs for 2, 4, 6 pages. And then we've got The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Spy Catchers, which looks like a very small comic strip style information about a Nazi spy. Then we come on to the next story, which is The Big Bang in the Bottle Affair. Again, it's a full story with colour illustrations, and that runs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. And you notice that each chapter, instead of a chapter, it's got act. So there's 5 different acts in that particular one. A City on Springs by Kevin McBarry. And that's a Cheyenne Mountain, Pines Finger, the skyline of this great granite mass, 9,565 feet high, which has been hollowed out to house an underground stronghold. That's the story of the most extraordinary fortress city in the world. And that's a look inside of that fortress and the purpose behind it. And then we've got The Policeman All, and that's all about policemen. It's a question and answer question, and your answers are at the bottom. Then we move on to the next story, which is The Clock Face Affair. Now, this is a monocolour illustrations with a full story, and that runs for 2, 4, 5 pages. And then you've got Did You Know? Upside Down Fish, Hole in One in a Pocket, Orange Orangutan, and a hedgehog. There we go. And the Red Indians, of course. Situations Vacant, Intelligence Agents, and there's a load of questions and answers there for you to work out, figure out, and answer. The next story is The Who Flies Where for What Affair, and again it is a full story with monocolour illustrations, and that runs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, and that brings us to an end. And then we come on to the first comic strip story, which is The Animal Agents Affair, Act 1, The Seeing Eye Spy. Great artwork on this one, really nice, and it's full colour as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Artwork's brilliant in this one. 8, 9. 9 pages of that comic strip story, but as I say, the artwork's fantastic. And then we come on to another story, which is the Operation Waverly affair, and this is a story with full colour illustrations. And there you can see Mr. Waverly being knocked out with spray by a young lady there. And that is Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3. Act 4 and 2, 4, 6. 6 pages in that one. And then we come from The Man from Uncle Strange Rendezvous again. And this is about World War II, the Allies and Roman centuries. Interesting. Jet Dream, the setup Vulcan and her stunt gal counter spies. Now, I don't think that's got anything to do with Uncle, but it is a comic strip, which is a full colour comic strip with great artwork again. And that runs for 4 pages. And then we get on to the second part of the Animal Agents Affair, Act 2, and it's called A Fishy Story. And that runs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Artwork is fantastic. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages on that one. So quite a long story, that one. And then they got away in an oak, running for his life, whatever that is all about. I'm not going to read it right now. And you've got Queen Matilda, Tower of London, Bonnie Prince Charlie, American Civil War, Chubby Holes, Wooden Horse, Houdini, and Dalai Lama. And then we've got the Amusement Pier Affair. And there we see a big monocolour image of someone chopping Napoleon Solo on the back of the neck. And that runs for 2, 4, 6 pages. And then we got on some odd facts here. And that's exactly what it says. It says on the tin, there's some odd facts there. And then we've got the Cut and Run Affair. Again, it's a full story with monocolour illustrations. And that runs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. And then we come into Sandstorm for Illya, Nap Hand for Napoleon Affair. And this is a story with full colour illustrations. So you've got Act 1 there. Act 2, that's 3 pages. 4, 5 pages. And then we come to the Selector Affair, which is the game. And this is a game for 2 to 4 players. Thrush have got hold of the latest Uncle decoding machine. The Selector, Illya and Napoleon think they know where it is hidden, but the route to the hiding place is fraught with danger. Pocket your courage and follow our 2 agents. Each player has a counter of a different colour from his opponent, and a 6 must be thrown on the dice before he can move. If he lands on a square with instructions, these must be followed. The winner, the first Uncle agent to enter the hideout and secure the machine, is the winner. There we go. And that is the Selector Affair. On to the next story, the Highway to the Sun Affair. Another full story with colour illustrations. And that is 2, 4, 6 pages. And then we come to Mission Accomplished, which brings us to the end of the annual. And it's got Security Elite, 2 dead. 2 men were found dead and 2 more were held for questioning as police launched a massive hunt for the plans of the HG-109 missile stolen from security headquarters earlier this morning. And you've got pictures there of Kuryakin and Solo there. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to read it all. Uncle reports strictly confidential. Recovery of the HG-109 missile plans. Agents Napoleon Solo and Illya Kuryakin. Agents report Thursday, 1200 hours. And that's signed by Illya Kuryakin and Napoleon Solo. And that brings us to the end of the annual. Okay, that is the annual. Now you're going to say to me, well, Chris, back in 1970 or 69, when this annual came out, How well did it do? Well, it probably wasn't the most popular of the Uncle annuals, I would say. And the reason for that is because the series was finished, well, a good year or so, well over a year, nearly 2 years prior to this annual being released. The series ran for 4 seasons. It was very popular during its run, and it ran from September 22nd, 1964 through to January the 15th, 1968. So remember, this was released at the end of 1969, so almost 2 years on. So the whole of 68 had gone by and the whole of 69 had gone by before this annual was released. And incidentally, this was the final annual in the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series to be released. There was 4 annuals released altogether. There was one for 1967, 1968, 1969, and this one, the last one, in 1970. There was also a few other books released. There was the Man from U.N.C.L.E. comic album in 1966, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. television storybook in 1967, and the Man from U.N.C.L.E. television picture storybook in 1968. So they're also run alongside the U.N.C.L.E. annuals. But as I say, sadly, this was the last one, and obviously that was because of the series had finished. So they did run them for 68. For the end of 68, there was an annual, and the end of 69 was an annual for 69 and 70, respectively. But obviously, TV had finished. The hype of the series was probably well down. And people have obviously moved on to different television programs by the time 2 years on from the final episode being aired. They've obviously moved on to something else. So it wasn't the most popular of the U.N.C.L.E. annuals that was released out of the 4. This was probably the least popular, which is hardly surprising, as I say, because the TV series had been off air for 2 years when this was out. Although I think it's a fantastic annual. It really is good. A lot of information in there and some great stories. Okay, let's move forward to 2025, which is where we are today. So we're moving forward 55, nearly 56 years, 55 to 56 years. Does this annual come up for sale very often on the platforms? And not very often at all, actually. This was the last annual, as I say. I think the quantities were less, as I said. So maybe that's a factor of why they don't come up as often as they once did. Obviously, back in the day, annuals were staple diet for everybody in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. Annuals were very, very big business. They produced many. You could get annuals for anything, any top popular television series, any football team, any pop stars, and all sorts of other things. Even comics had their own annuals. So there was lots and lots of annuals being produced every year at the end of the year for the Christmas rush. And anybody who was anybody would get annuals in their Christmas stockings or their Christmas sacks. Come Christmas morning, we were always waking up to 2 or 3 different annuals in our sacks, all based on the popular television shows that we enjoyed. That was our favourites, if you like. So obviously that all dwindled out really when DVDs and videos became regular household appliances. Of course, then we went over to streaming. Internet suddenly happened, and boom, you can watch whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. So it's all very, very different now. So annuals are nowhere near as popular as they used to be. They still produce annuals, of course, but not anywhere near the volumes and the quantities that they once did. So it's still, they're still fairly popular, but obviously the main popularity and the big businesses that they were back in the previous decades, that's all gone. So do they come up for sale very often on the platforms of diversity? I do apologise. As this particular one, no, it doesn't. You do see more. The most common annual to pop up is the first Man from U.N.C.L.E. one, with the 1967 one and maybe the 1968. Those two appear to be the most popular ones, and that's probably because the quantities were much higher than the two that came out when the TV show finished. So they appear semi-regular. These ones, very few and far between, I'm afraid. The 1969 and the 1971 don't come up very often. And when they do, you need to be very, very careful of the condition because of the age. And obviously, annuals, comics, things like that, condition is key. So you do need to have as best condition as you can possibly find. And I'll be honest with you, some of the annuals that appear on the internet platforms are absolutely diabolical. I'll be too embarrassed to throw them away, let alone trying to sell them. So yeah, do be careful. Do have a good look at the images and read the text carefully, because somebody's idea of very good condition could be somebody else's idea of acceptable condition. There's a big scope for difference there between different people's opinions, so do be very, very careful. And also, some platforms use stock images and stock descriptions, so you could be looking at an this annual in this condition, which is fantastic condition, but because there's no new ones available, it will go to the cheapest used annual should you press buy now, and what you get may not be what you looked at and what you read and what you thought you was going to get. So do be very, very careful if you are going to buy on one of those platforms. Alternatively, you don't need to go for that rigmarole. You can come straight to us at Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles, where what you see in front of us is exactly the item you will receive should you wish to order. We don't believe in stock images and stock descriptions. The description and the image of the item that you see is the item you will receive should you order it. And if we do have different conditions, they are listed on different products, different images, different descriptions, so that you cannot get confused. What you order is the item you're looking at. And as of today, this item is available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website where you'll be able to find this and many, many other vintage Man from Uncle items. And many other vintage toys, games and collectibles come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I'm absolutely sure you're not going to want to miss this. We have got some amazing stuff coming through. Speaking of Man from Uncle, we've even got the attaché cases with their attachments and their contents coming through soon. So do bear in mind that. So keep your eye out. Our team are working tirelessly behind the scenes to get these items ready to be sold and to be videoed and uploaded onto the website and onto YouTube. So do keep looking, because there's always going to be something for somebody that we upload onto the website. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful Man from Uncle annual with me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next video. So bye for now.